Hi everyone, it's Coach Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose, and today is Wild Wisdom Wednesday. So thanks so much for joining me. Today's book, Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So I don't want to cheat. And as you all who have been following me know, I typically open a book, pick a page, and that's the thing that we talk about, the topic. However, today I picked up this book off my desk, and without thinking, I grabbed it and opened it. However, I don't know if I or someone else had slipped the jacket inside the book, which left me at a page that either I've read previously or someone else was looking at my book and happened to slide their the covered jacket into it. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to pick a page and we'll figure out how funny would it be if it's the same page. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens. All right. Okay, it is not the same page. So, ooh, that's a good one though. So we're looking at page 106 again. Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and the header on this page is Using and Relinquishing Negativity. Using and relinquishing negativity. All inner resistance is experienced as negativity in one form or another. All negativity is resistance. In this context, the two words are almost synonymous. I'm going to read a little bit more. Negativity ranges from irritations or impatience to fierce anger, from a depressed mood or sullen resentment to suicidal despair. Sometimes the resistance triggers the emotional pain body, in which case even a minor situation may produce intense negativity, such as anger, depression, or deep grief. The ego believes that through negativity, it can manipulate reality and get what it wants. It believes that through it, it can attract a desirable condition or dissolve an undesirable one. If you, the mind, did not believe that unhappiness works, why would you create it? The fact is, of course, that negativity does not work. Instead of attracting a desirable condition, it stops it from arising. Instead of dissolving an undesirable one, it keeps it in place. Its only useful function is that it strengthens the ego, and that is why the ego loves it. Once you have identified with some form of negativity, you do not want to let it go. And on a deeply unconscious level, you do not want positive change. It would threaten your identity as a depressed, angry, or hard done by person. You will then ignore, deny, or sabotage the positive in your life. I'm going to read that again. You will then ignore, deny, or sabotage the positive in your life. This is a common phenomenon. It is also insane. No mincing words there. I'm going to tip this a little bit. I feel like I'm falling off the face of the earth for you guys. Sorry. All right. I don't know if that helped or not, but one of the things I noted here in doing this is that I had just recently had a client. Sorry, I just feel like I'm falling over. There we go. I just had a client that we were talking a little bit about this subject in the sense of the fact that we can create a negative attractor, right? So for us, we could be looking at a problem or challenge, and by focusing on the problem or challenge in our mind, even before we've actually kind of dug in and figured out what we can do, we've already created a pattern in our own mind of what that potential negativity could be. This particular client was talking about opening an envelope that she'd received that she got a certified notice of. So the second she got the certified notice, she created a story, right? A drama, a negative story about what that could mean. Thankfully, for me, as I was listening to it, the oracle came through and very strongly suggested that sometimes what we believe, what we create in our mind, isn't always the real truth of the situation. And that by what I had mentioned was by pushing it away, right? By working off of what I like to call, or what's been called, away from motivation, we are actually creating more connection, negative connection with the thing that we're trying to distance ourselves with. So even by trying to push the thought away, by not going to open the envelope or just contemplating all the negative things that could possibly be inside the envelope or the letter or whatever it was that was coming, the process of creation had already begun. And the process was obviously not positive. It was negative. So it's interesting in that scenario to consider why oftentimes our first reaction in an unknown situation is the negative. Think about that. How often in a similar situation, maybe not that specific situation, but in a situation where you don't really know the whole story and you get a piece of it, do you start to play worst case scenario in your mind, right? So you start kind of playing, previewing, if you will, what could the worst possible thing be, the outcome of this next step, whether that's a phone call, like maybe it's getting a call from someone and getting a voicemail, and something about either their tone or where they're calling from sets into emotion that fear drive. And so you start to think about, what could it be about? What will you need to do about it? How bad will it be? All of those things start happening, and yet you don't even really know. You have no idea until you complete the connection to find out what it really is all about. So if you're watching this now live or you're watching the replay, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had that experience where you got a call like that or got a letter in the mail, and before you opened it, you kind of filled yourself with this, oh my gosh, what could this be? And what will I have to do about it? And what kind of negative effect will it have on myself or my life? And ask yourself, for that minute, 2 minutes, whatever, day or so that you didn't actually address it, what was your state of mind? What was your state of being, right? Because this is the practicing the power of now, which is all about being present. So in the present moment at that time, were you creating a negative experience or a positive one? Because let's remember, whatever was in, hey, thanks for joining us, whatever was in the letter or whoever was calling or whatever was in that email that you're about to open, until you open it, it's a little bit of a Schrodinger's cat experience where we don't know until we know. We don't know until we go through the process of discovering, of looking in and finding out what the answer is. But isn't it interesting? And think about your own experience. Isn't it interesting how often where we go with that is negative versus positive? Like, could that certified notice really be about somebody wanting to send you a big check and wanting to make sure you got it? Who knows? Until you get the letter, until you get whatever it was, you don't know. And yet, how often do we think, ooh, I'm getting checks in the mail. Ooh, people are sending me money. Or people are requesting my attendance at a party or an event. Or they're wanting to hire me. And they want to make sure I get this information. Or, if it's the phone call, how often do we imagine that they're calling to thank us or share something with us or provide us with something of benefit rather than the opposite, rather than it being something negative? And I think that this particular section that we read today, this excerpt from this book, I think speaks to the idea that delving into the negative, as Eckhart told us, that's insane. We don't know. And yet, what is it about us and our experiences and our choices that cause us to want to delve into something from a negative angle right off the bat? regardless of even evidence to the contrary. There's another one. How often do you get a compliment from someone and suddenly you start in the back of your head, if not outright, in the back of your head going, I wonder why they said that. Why were they being so nice to me? What do they want? What do they need? Or they must think I'm really tired if they say, oh, you look nice today. Did I look bad yesterday? It's like, how often are your knee-jerk reactions and your mental machinations, if you will, how often are they falling into the negative world versus the positive without any other indicators? All right, so we're just talking about just like something you're reacting to that you don't have the full picture of yet, and you suddenly go there, right? Go down into the negative rather than into the positive, or even neutral. What if we just stayed neutral? What if we just, I like to say, what if we just stay curious? Say, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? I wonder what that's about. Even at that level, right? Just staying neutral and curious allows us to have more capacity to respond from a place of balance than panic and fear, right? So, because the instant we start to consider the negative factors or project, I should say, the negative factors that may be possible, then we have to send our mind, because our subconscious mind is always trying to create solutions. So as soon as we start creating these negative scenarios, it has to go out and start figuring out what it's going to do about all this negative stuff you're creating to bring harmony, to bring you back to stasis. So how much energy, how much time, how much of your own natural resources are you wasting on negative fantasy play? Ooh. Is that a thing? I think I just made up a thing, but I think it makes sense, right? Negative fantasy, like you're playing a fantasy of something negative happening, and yet you really have no tangible proof that that's real yet. And honestly, until anything happens, anything is possible, right? Like every moment, the scene could change from one moment to the next. So why not embrace the concept that in any given moment, the most amazing, wonderful, incredible experiences are possible? Yes, there's checks coming in the mail. Yes, people are ringing you to ask you to work for them, or to provide a service for you, or to give you something of benefit. That could also be possible. And I would offer that it has a lot to do with how we project our images out into the universe. What we receive and what we experience is a mirroring back of that. So what can you do? I like to give you guys a challenge on Wild Wisdom Wednesday. So perhaps today's challenge is just this. Oh, yes. Thank you. That was the Oracle, by the way. If you ever see me do that, that's the Oracle shooting a lightning bolt of information into me. The other day, I was walking, doing some errands, and I noticed kind of like this string of people being exceedingly negative and grouchy and irritable towards each other, like in the checkout line and all of this stuff. Complaining about random things. Some might even say silly things, but still just in the process of really getting in to their complaints about things. And I remember walking through one particular store and listening to just overhearing someone complaining. And I thought, it's such a minor inconvenience that they were complaining about, but they were really getting into the complaint. They were like very animated and voice raised and tension. And I couldn't help but think to myself as I was leaving the store, what if just for a week, I didn't complain about anything? Then I thought, what if I challenged you guys? What if we made it a bit of a game? And for a week, you didn't complain about anything. And at the bare, not not the bare minimum, I guess it's the opposite direction what I'm thinking, saying here. At the very most, there we go. At the very most, you would be allowed in this challenge, if you will, to simply pause and use that term as a crutch if you needed to. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what it means. Or I wonder what's going to happen next. And I think if you use that, right, you use that tool for a week when you find yourself being irritated or frustrated or, cut off on the freeway, or someone's running late, or you're running late, or you have a client cancel, or you have a big project that's not going the way you want it, instead of jumping into complaining, and sometimes which follows or leads into blaming and all of that scenario, you just pause long enough to say, isn't that interesting? I wonder what it means. And I wonder what's going to happen next. So, and if you really kind of want to be a type A, straight A student, I know you're out there watching this. What if you added, I wonder what amazing things are going to happen next? Or incredible things, whatever your word is, what awesome things are going to come from this? I think that the more often we hold that vision, that's exactly what the universe is trying to achieve, is this creation of amazing, wonderful things, that we can be a part of it, that we actually can position ourselves as a tool that the universe works through, then we can understand that we have the opportunity to color that out picturing. We have the opportunity to shift from the negative to the positive by watching our thoughts, by being aware, by being conscious, by practicing the power of now. So that's my challenge. For 1 week, so it's Wednesday, we know. So by next Wednesday's Wild Wisdom Wednesday, I challenge you, and I'm challenging myself. So just to be clear, I'm challenging myself to change complaining into curiosity. So to change complaining into curiosity by using the tools that I was just suggesting, by changing your mind a little bit and saying, asking for the reframe. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what it means. And I wonder what amazing things will happen next because of this. I wonder what fantastic things are at play. I wonder what incredible change is about to happen. Use those words, play with them. Give yourself permission to play it up a little bit. But more importantly, going from complaining to curiosity for a week. Can you do it? Will you join me? I would love, if you're watching the replay, or if you're out there right now, say hi again. But really, I'd love to see some comments in the comment section about what does that look like for you? What are you noticing? How often are you having to use those tools every day? And what difference is it making? Is it changing how you go through your day? Is it changing your experience? I'm going to bet. Why not? I'm going to bet that it does. I'm going to guess that it will definitely impact how you are experiencing your life for the next week. And I would really love to hear how that out pictures for you. I know all of us are different. We have different experiences, different lives, different styles of being. But could they be better? Could we create a positive experience out of any experience? So that's your challenge for this week if you choose to accept it. Take complaining and change it into curiosity. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on Wild Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Coach Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. Bye now.